storyteller is Emil. Guillermo. He is a San Francisco native journalist and storyteller. His stories are often taken from his columns on Amok, AMOK.com. His story today is titled 3 Bullies and a Gun.
So I'm here now to tell you the story, 3 bullies and a gun. First of all, let me tell you that I felt shame and I felt awkwardness during the pandemic, and so for the pandemic, I went to meditation school. It's okay, you can laugh. This is coming from the scar, not the wound, so you'll like this. And I saw the monks wore this color, orange saffron, which is why I chose to wear an orange saffron windbreaker, not because I was going to break any wind, but because I felt calm when I saw orange saffron, and I wanted to be monkish or monk-like or monkey. Monkey. That's what they called my dad. They called my dad Monkey. I'm re-traumatizing myself. They call my dad Monkey. Picture yourself, July 4th, 1928, San Francisco. He gets off a boat from the Philippines to San Francisco. He's in America. He didn't need papers. He didn't need a green card. He was an American national, not a citizen. He was a colonized American national. That's what they called them, a national. And he's here in San Francisco, and they take him in yellow cabs. They're going to bring him to the valley to pick vegetables for 10 cents an hour. And my dad, oh, thank goodness, he said, I am not going to go to the valley to pick the vegetables. I am here to cook the vegetables. In the Central Valley, they lynch Filipinos, they kill Filipinos, and here in San Francisco, it's so cold and foggy, they cannot see us. And if they do, they just call us monkey. So that's the background story for the violence and the indifference and the feelings I got from other people all my life. Now, you notice my father came in 1928, and look at me, I am so youngish. And what happened? In 1928, I should be like 92 years old right now. But I'm not, and that's Filipino history. I'm not going to get into that today. I'm just going to tell you about the violence I've experienced and how the stories have helped me understand what has happened to me. 3 bullies and a gun. My first bully, Everett Junior High School, 1968. I'm in 7th grade, and I'm in a college prep class, and all the other people in the school, 90% of the people in the school aren't interested in college, but I see the general population in typing class, and there I am typing. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog, and at the end of the sentence, there she was. It was Denise. Denise in her full-length leather coat. She's 7th grade. She's 12, going on 25. She's beautiful. She's beautiful. She's a 12-year-old wearing makeup and nylons. And I am a 12-year-old boy. This is exciting to me in typing class or wherever. I'm seeing Denise, and I actually am looking at her friend. Her friend is Janet. Her friend Janet is black and Filipino. So I knew Filipinos were in the equation. I knew I had a shot at Janet, but not maybe at Denise, because she's out of my league. But she looks at me, and I'm typing the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, and she's looking at me, catching a look at her, and she comes over to me, and she puts her hands on my desk, and she pushes my books off to the edge of the desk into the trash can. And she just looks at me, and I look at her and say, you want to try that again? She did, and it didn't feel any better the second time. I had a more traditional bully in the lunchroom. It was Danny. Danny knew I was taking algebra in 7th grade, so he wasn't just going to take my quarter. He wasn't just going to say, give me the 25 cents before you go into the boys' beanery. He was going to use some logic. Because I said, Danny, I don't have any money. And he said, all right, Emil, all I find, I keep. Oh, my God. That's a bully's logic. All I find, I keep. That means If I don't give him the quarter, he'll kick my ass and he'll find everything, and he won't just find the quarter, he'll get the dollar that I've hidden in my shoe. Here, Danny, I got in, spent my dollar. On the way out, he took my cookie. But the best Billy, maybe in gym class in the afternoon, it was George, and he was a big black guy. They all had leather jackets, and we shared a gym locker. George was big, and he had his leather jacket took up most of the gym locker that we shared. I had a little space for my T-shirts, and he would come in, and we'd see each other naked, and I'd have to wait until he undressed, and I undressed, and then one night, or one day, I was late, he dressed early. I got to the locker, and I opened it up, and there it was, the leather jacket. And he took the leather jacket, this object of desire. Everyone had it except me, and I put it on. Oh, to be a cool kid. When school let out for the summertime, I went back to my old haunts in Dolores Park. I was a paper boy, and my side hustle was selling firecrackers. And we went into other neighborhoods to sell firecrackers, and some kids didn't like that, so they tried to jump us, and we ran down 18th Street, 18th and Dolores, and there were a bunch of Victorians there, and I said, I'm going to outfox them. I'm going to go up the steps. I'm going to hide behind a big pot. A big fern was going to guard me, and I balled myself up. And this kid came up, and he started wailing on me, and punched me once and twice and 3 times. And I put my fingers up to my face, and I could see it was George. And he looked at me and says, yeah, I don't know what he said, but I said, we've seen each other naked. And he's about to punch me. And he pulls his punch. He went downstairs, and his friend said, hey, anyone up there? And he said, no one up there. And George went off, and from the top of the stairs, I took a peek. George kicked half my ass, took all my firecrackers. That was a good friend. So they're the 3 bullies. Now the gun. It wasn't until later in life that I had my career and I had my kids, and the second coming of Filipinos, the second generation, the new generation. 1990 they came, and they were like 7 and 8 years old, Guillermo's. They were like my dad coming to America. But then things happened. They still lived in there. My cousin Stephen Guillermo, lived in his 2-room apartment, 5 people, 5th and Mission, by the Mint Mall. He had to take care of his family, so he was a late bloomer. He didn't graduate from San Francisco State until he was 27. So the night before graduation, he was having a good time. He went out and got drunk and celebrated, went back to the Mint Mall apartments. They all looked the same. He lived on the 5th floor, got off on the 3rd. Got off on the 3rd floor, went to the apartment door. All the apartment doors look alike when you're drunk. Key didn't work. He tried to knock on the door. He tried the door again. And then it opened like someone let him in. He crosses the threshold, and on the other side, a retired security guard had a .22 caliber and shoots him in the heart. I didn't hear about it until the next day. My sister called me and said, Stephen's dead. And I wanted to make a big stink. I didn't cover the story. I told my reporter friends to go down there. We made a big stink. We went to the Board of Supervisors. We went to the DA. The man turned himself in. He spent 3 nights in jail. That's the justice we got, 3 nights in jail. My friend said, look, Emil, the DAs aren't going to prosecute. You cross the threshold. People are fearful for their lives. The law says you can shoot them dead. I said, there has to be some discretion. There has to be something in the law that can change this. It was a mistake. My cousin was smaller than me, smaller than Nancy. He was no threat to anybody. He was no threat to anybody. But We got no justice. I said, well, let's tell the story. We're going to tell the story. Inside Edition was going to tell the story, and all my cousins were going to come join me, and we're going to tell the story to Deborah Norville. And then they felt shame, and they didn't show up. When there's no justice, there should be no shame. You tell your story. A week before the funeral, it was Filipino Heritage Night at the Giants. I knew some of the Giants management, and they said, we'll let you tell your story, Emil. Stefan was a Giants fan. He was in his coffin wearing his Giants jersey. He loved Tim Lincecum, who was half Filipino. And Tim Lincecum was pitching that night. Top of the third, he strikes out the side, the Atlanta Braves. Bottom of the third, the Giants are up. And then there was the story in center field, up in the scoreboard, the Jumbotron. Stefan Guillermo, 1987 to 2014, American Filipino, taken too soon. That was the score. That was the story. It was there. When you get no justice, you tell your story. There's no shame. You tell your story again and again. You tell your story forever. Some people say, Emil, is that anti-Asian hate? It wasn't an example of love. Thank you very much.